A poverty and disease-ridden Kenyan slum isn't exactly something that whets the appetite of most investment bankers.
This was the toilet. We just demolished this and that and this.
But it's exactly the kind of project Jacqueline Novogratz is looking to finance. Novogratz has an MBA from Stanford and works in New York City, not far from banking's movers and shakers. But she leads a team at the Acumen Fund that's invested some $40 million to support enterprises that serve the poor.
And we did get great news from Jasper Farms last night.
With donations from 200 philanthropic individuals and organizations, they've invested in a dairy farm in Pakistan, a mosquito net factory in Tanzania, or a seed factory in Kenya. It's a new approach to venture capital. She calls it patient capital, an investment that pays off slowly, that encourages profit, not excessive profit. She insists this middle way will work better in today's globalized economy.
If our current situation teaches us anything, it's that unfettered, unbridled capitalism isn't working. Certainly not in an interconnected world where we need to find ways to include everyone into the global economy. And on the other hand, charity alone typically can reach low-income people, but often not at any level of scale. And too often it creates dependence rather than a sense of dignity.
She spread the word far and wide that private capital can bring public change. She talked to a book club in Nairobi about those slum toilets.
Think about toilets. We need a public sanitation system that will sustain itself, that we don't have to depend on the government alone to do it. We can create a model that we can own.
She found architect David Kuria had the same idea. He'd been trying to solve the toilet problem for years.
The issue of sanitation, to me, is one of the most complicated issues dealing with communities because it's a behavior issue. There are cultural issues and barriers, and also a lot of perception in terms of this is a service, according to our people, it needs to be free. It's not free because you still have to pay in terms of cost of medicine or even death when you're talking about typhoid and cholera outbreaks.
Those diseases have been all too real in Kenya.
Last year alone, we had about 300 deaths of cholera recorded in Nairobi. And the highest was the slum.
Well, and this is where people don't make the connection enough between sanitation and
hygiene
health.
And their health.
In slums like this one, people for generations have lived without functioning or sometimes even indoor toilets. They use the bush or streets instead.
And everything flows. There's no septic, there's no sewer system, so everything flows to the river.
Where you can see the
downstream.
kids play right in.
Yeah.
Kuria thinks the only solution is to charge for the toilets, to make them pay for themselves. But the idea was a tough sell, not just with people in slums who weren't used to paying for it. He ran into problems getting land and licenses, and 9 banks refused him financing. Then came the Acumen Fund. After a year teaching him how to design a business plan, the fund invested $600,000. And Kuria deliberately chose not to market to poor people at first, but to show the toilets were worthy of Kenya's wealthiest.
So what I did was to start in the upper market, outside Hilton, near our parliament, for high-class people. And that's where I started with putting the first model, purely to be able to influence the mentality and thinking. That became a bit easier than selling eco-toilet as a product for the poor.
Every day, 35,000 people come through this toilet in Nairobi's Central Business District and 35 others, paying just 5 shillings or about 7 US cents per visit. Rent from a convenience store and shoeshine stands help make the enterprises profitable. Piped-in music is but one surprise that greets the user of this eco-toilet. It's spotless, uses very little water, a lot of it collected rainwater. Wastes are recycled into fertilizer and methane gas. But the acid test of the model is in a new one open in Mathare, one of Nairobi's most violent and depressed slums.
So David, you were trying different pricing models. In Nairobi,
yes.
You charge 5 shillings, and here you thought, well, we'll charge 3?
We ended up developing a monthly card, which each family buys for 100 shillings. That's about $1.2, yeah, for the entire family.
Pricing is just one of the challenges for the slum branch. Ethnic tension, which flared up in deadly violence in 2006, still simmers, and lawlessness keeps people indoors after dark.
Oh,
Courier wants to stage events in this area to make it feel safe at night, and he's invited a local group to form a committee to help run the facility.
So what did you have to do to convince the community?
We were educating them about the cleanness, about the diseases.
And so how many people are now using the toilets? 98 per day?
Families.
98 families?
Yes.
Courier needs 200 people to make this toilet break even. He's halfway there, but his goal is more than just money.
To me, I think my ultimate goal is more for social transformation. I see myself purely as a change agent and change maker, and trying to really provoke a lot of really debate at different levels, from the community level, whether it's from the business community level, and also from the political level.
Novogratz eventually wants the toilets, indeed all of her investments, to reach not just hundreds of thousands, but hundreds of millions.
It's going to be a combination of private sector resources, philanthropy, certainly to get it started, and ultimately government.
In the next several months, David Courier hopes to be up to 100 toilets. He's branching out to Tanzania and Uganda as well.